Good morning, everybody. I want to thank you for taking a few minutes just to listen to this video. I wanted to reach out to all of you on the P3 implementation team task force to kind of give you an update as to where we're at. Okay. Uh, as you may or may not be aware, we've had three teams basically working on three different aspects of our proposed future guidance, which more than likely will take the form of a technical release, which puts it on a track of being submitted first to the Accounting and Auditing Policy Committee of FASAB, and once we pass their filter, their recommendations and suggestions, we then take the document to the board where they also will take a very hard look at it, I'm sure. So that's what I think is going to happen. But in this game of standard setting, in these times, I wouldn't be a firm believer in any single track. But I think that's what will probably happen. Team 1, if I'm not mistaken, on reporting entity, and Team 2 on leases have developed preliminary, if you will, procedural policy guidance, as well as sample questions with answers to what we believe are the most important or frequently asked questions so far that we've received. And these are again geared towards the implementation challenges that have been identified to the board from one-on-one meetings, numerous training sessions, as well as interviews with the audit community and at least two policy experts within this area. So we've got those drafted up. The teams 1 and 2, are currently looking at their draft language and kind of making sure that it's okay and where they want it to be. I've asked them both to consider any additional questions or answers that we might want to address, as well as possible case studies that we may need to develop or further develop, which leads me to Team 3. Team 3 is looking at our case studies. We've already met at least twice, and we've received some good input on the majority of, on all the case studies, and we've received some edits on some that were really good. So I do want to thank all the three teams for their work. Their due date back to me with some final, if you will, interim final comments is this Friday, May 5th. So let's say more than likely they get something back to me May 5th. Well, next week I'll be in Florida, so I probably won't be looking at anything. And we then have two volunteers who have really stepped up, and actually three volunteers. Two are ladies, one is a gentleman, who will be working on our process flow chart. And since that's kind of difficult and they do have to wait for teams 1 and 2 to kind of finalize their work, I've given them until May 16th to kind of flesh out what a project flow chart will look like. So what I expect doing when I get back from vacation is putting together a revised rough draft technical release document, kind of giving you a clean look at what we've got. I will be incorporating whatever flowchart we receive, let's say, and our case studies, and then we're going to float that out to the entire task force to have everyone kind of look at it, and I will at that point schedule meetings to cover sections of the TR. So I'll just send it out to you, you can file it, and then as I schedule the meetings, we'll go section by section by section, okay? And I want to really get it right, because at the end of the day, the document has to meet the preparer's needs as well as the audit requirements. So we want it to be defensible. So I envision that the day I bring this to the AAPC, I would like to have as many of you as possible from the Lisa's team, reporting entity team, case study team, and even the architects of our process flowchart to be at those meetings with me. I mean, I could carry it myself, but you folks are the engine really behind a lot of this. And so that's what we're looking at. And I'm not sure when we're going to be ready for the AAPC meeting. I believe they have meetings scheduled for August, which is probably the earliest we'll be able to make. And that might even be too early. And I think they have a meeting in November. I believe I could request an ad hoc meeting, but I might not be, okay, or not be successful in so doing. So in any event, it's kind of a slow train, but I think it's a better slow train than the fast train because we don't want to move too fast. We've got a lot going on in the financial management community, a lot, and I want P3s to be successful because I really believe at the end of the day, we're talking about almost the soul of government. You know, what back when I started, a lot of what I've seen being sent to private companies was considered inherently governmental or best done by the government, where the government agencies were directly accountable to the people. Well, given the times where, you know, the budget ceiling debates that go on, the budget deficits and the debt, there is this push, you know, to involve the private sector for economy and efficiency. Under the most optimistic and altruistic reasons, we do it for those reasons. And then maybe for the more practical reasons, some agencies do it because they don't have the funding or the finance mechanisms in place. But when you do that, you turn your assets over to private entities, some of which are foreign owned and foreign controlled, and let alone the issue of being off balance sheet. But now you have virtually no accountability for government assets purchased with hard paying taxpayer dollars, paid for by waitresses working 12-hour shifts who are single moms, or by dads spending 70, 80 hours in an office working, barely seeing their children, paying taxes. When you think about that, and then the fact that you know, we've lost that accountability, it's, to me, it's personally as a citizen very important that we get P3s right. So in any event, it's enough of me on my soapbox. Listen, have a wonderful week, great weekend. I'll be away next week, but I did want to get this video out to you just to thank you all again. And again, if you have any questions or concerns, call me. What I don't want to see happen with any one of you is at the end of the day, you bring something up that should have been brought up earlier. That's not appropriate. That's not unless it's just like a revelation that hits you at the end. But it shouldn't be this way. We're taking the project slow to give you that time to get your thoughts together, to articulate, and if there's anything you disagree with, please bring it forward. This has got to be an intellectually honest, pan-governmental, with auditor presence, consensus. I might hold 51% of the vote, but I don't like exercising my 1% control unless I have to. I only had to do it on one project, and I think that was the P3 project. No, land. Land was the difficult one. You know, other than that, I think we're in decent shape. Okay, so call me, email me. But again, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you during the summer once we get all the input back from the 3 teams and the flow chart from our 3 volunteers. So thank you very much. Stay well. Bye-bye.